Hello, welcome back to another lore video. Today we're going to talk about why Darth Vader decided to let Obi-Wan go in the last episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But before we begin, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss another lore video from us, and leave a like on the video in case you actually happen to enjoy it and it gets around to more Star Wars fans. So, one of the biggest controversies to come out of Kenobi so far has been this very infamous scene, in which Darth Vader decides to, rather than finish off his mortal and lifelong enemy thus far, lets him go and be rescued by a couple of rebels. And the question that seems to be soaring through the community is why? Why does this happen, and was it his choice or was it something else? In my opinion, I think there are 6 possible reasons for why this happened, and I've seen some of these before and a few are ideas that I had on my own, but let's go ahead and go over them really quick so we can start to perhaps delve into why this action was taken. I think the first one for me is simply that, and I haven't really heard anyone else talking about this, so please leave in the comments if you have, is Obi-Wan vital to Darth Vader's power? Like, is his hatred of him so essential to his abilities as a Sith at this point? I mean, if we really think about that, he's been dreaming about killing Obi-Wan for years at this point, 10 years. And that hate has brought him through some pretty powerful moments in things like the Darth Vader comic book series and in other important moments. So I'm just forced to wonder if, from his perspective as a Sith, if he wonders if killing Obi-Wan is necessarily the right thing to do in that moment. I mean, after all, once he kills him, the hatred may remain, but it doesn't burn quite as strong as it would have before. So perhaps the reason he decided to let Obi-Wan go is he thinks there might be a better way to use him to enhance his own dark side power. It's an interesting idea, and I really would like to know your opinions on it in the comments below. The next one I have seen around before, and I do think that this could both tie into our previous theory and stand on its own, and that is merely that Darth Vader wants to hunt Obi-Wan. He wants him to experience fear and terror, and much of the same things that Darth Vader himself went through. And in doing so, I think that this would also empower Darth Vader, but it would be more cathartic for him than anything else, granting him an extreme sense of satisfaction for taking out the person that he thinks ruined his life. There's not much more with this theory, and while I do think it's definitively possible, I don't think that necessarily letting the rebels take him away was the idea that Darth Vader probably would have gone with. The next one on the list, and this is another one that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, is the idea of what if Darth Vader instead chooses to use Obi-Wan to hunt the other Jedi? I mean, we get an interesting teaser in this episode of what will eventually become the full Rebel Alliance. You know, this very starting seeds of people standing up to the Empire and deciding for themselves what is right. Interestingly enough, with this discovery, we also get our first look at how the Jedi were avoiding being hunted by the Empire and the Galaxy, basically their own underground network for moving Jedi and other people that were being hunted. This idea is very interesting. I don't really think we've seen anything quite like this in full perspective in canon up to this point. There's been kind of references to things like this, but this is the first time it's been shown outright. And while I think that is highly interesting, I'm forced to wonder if this was perhaps one of the most serious pains in Darth Vader's side. As the most authority on Jedi hunting, and it being his official task from the Emperor, this would be the biggest hindrance to his continued promotion and gaining of knowledge. It's his job to hunt the Jedi, and if there's a network like this, it stymies that progress. It halts him, and in turn infuriates him. So perhaps he seems to think that Obi-Wan might be a part of this underground resistance. And if he thinks that is true, perhaps he thinks that by letting him go, he can track more of their members and find the other people that they are hiding. We don't know this for sure, and it is entirely possible given Darth Vader's aptitude for tactics and strategy. However, we won't know for sure until next episode comes out and we get perhaps a bit of a better look at what Darth Vader was thinking in those moments. Another one that I have seen, and I'm a bit torn on because depending on how they frame it, it could be good if it's there at all, but that would be, is Anakin still present inside of Darth Vader? I mean, technically, this is true. It is confirmed in the comic series that Anakin is still a part of Darth Vader, almost like a separate personality. However, it has been more than well shown that Darth Vader has a complete control on Anakin, and he rarely, if ever, surfaces even in a dream-like state, let alone being able to stop him from physically hurting somebody. With that thought in mind, then, it's a bit difficult to say that if Anakin did come to the surface, that is what halted Darth Vader. But it is something to think about and should be considered when we're talking about why Darth Vader decided not to leap across the fire and let Obi-Wan go. The last thought that I had is one that I think could have merit, because while Darth Vader himself is an expert tactician and strategist, there's one person that ideally does sit above him in that regard, and that is Palpatine. It is entirely possible that the reason that Darth Vader decided to let Obi-Wan go was not of his own volition. It is entirely possible that for one method or another, he was ordered to let him go. Perhaps for one of the other reasons on this list, for one that we have yet to know about. However, either way, it is possible that somebody could have given him that order, and for one reason or another, he would have been forced to obey. However, we don't really hear anything to this regard, and Darth Vader does seem to be the highest ranking authority in this episode that we see. However, it is another consideration. So in total, when we're looking at why did Darth Vader decide to let Obi-Wan go, and what was the real reason he didn't leap across those flames, we won't really have that question answered until next week at the least. But with these thoughts in mind, I think that a few of these, and I do mean a few because it probably won't even be one reason, are good explanations for why Vader decided to let Obi-Wan go. But why don't you let me know in the comments, why do you think he let him go? And please be sure to again like this video if you've enjoyed the content. I will see you next time for the next lore video. Bye!